Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. This is your Breakfast Bankroll Midday Market Report, Thursday, August 11th, 2022. Blessed guest today, good friend of the show. Some call him Rob, most of them know him, Mr. B2B at Beating the Bookie, excuse me. We're going to go over some hot topics, get you guys set up for the weekend, see where B2B's head is in the future market, maybe a little Fedex, maybe some preseason football. 2 games tonight, one right down the road from me, Giants and the Patriots. Currently, Giants minus 2.5. I do see 3 at our friends at Circa. And the intriguing one, Tennessee at Baltimore. The line is dropping down to an even 3. If you guys are unaware, the Ravens 19-1 to the number of their last 20 in preseason football. Mr. Harbaugh makes sure that his team wins these games versus some of the other coaches. But without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. B2B.
What's going on, Jeff? Glad to be back.
Yes, super excited to have you back as we're getting closer to, week 0 in college football coming up in less than 3 weeks. Some NFL action, obviously the Fedex Cup. How you been? How's things going with you, your clients? I follow your timeline. I follow your travels. You guys are just crushing it.
I mean, things have been great. I mean, we've been on a soccer heater for like over a month now. So it's been fun. We had a really fun soccer weekend. Since I was up in New York, I was giving out a lot of live plays to everybody. And it was a fun time. We had a blast. Baseball has been solid. The last couple of weeks of golf have been the last week of golf at the Wyndham was a little down. I found that was probably like one of the most boring tournaments I've seen this year. Tom Kim, I know everyone loves Tom Kim. He is the new PGA, the story of the week. But that, those weather delays and the rounds being paused and picked up the next day made it very hard to bet. So just hoping the FedEx, the St. Jude stays, weather free through the week, though it's, a little bit rainy today, but hopefully, if rain is the worst thing we have to deal with, that's just not too bad. But besides that, everything has been great. Just getting ready for football. Looking forward to going out to Vegas August 30th to September 4th for the first week of college football. Well, week 1, not for week 0, but week 1. And just can't wait to be back. We're actually doing a Beating the Bookie followers trip at Baja Mar in the Bahamas, September 23rd through the 26th. We've got like 20 people signed up for it. They've all booked their rooms and stuff. So going to have a weekend down there of just, betting, watching college football, watching NFL, going out to eat, hitting the casino and stuff. So it should be pretty fun.
I am landing in Vegas the 4th. I'll be in New York City the second and third for some high stakes fantasy football drafting, driving back to Cape Cod to just get back to Logan at 4:30 a.m. Sunday. I'll be in Vegas at 9:30 a.m. Sunday. Are you leaving in the morning? Or are you leaving on the red eye?
I am leaving on the red eye.
Oh, all right. So maybe I can catch up to you on that Sunday.
Yeah. So I mean, it should be Vegas is always fun. So you know what? I used to, my wife is from New York and my in-laws are, so we go up there for Christmas time and stuff. And usually I can't stand going to New York, especially with the COVID. They had like the strictest COVID rules in the country and stuff. So I couldn't stand going there, but it was a lot more bearable this time with my sports betting apps working. So that made it a lot more fun, and it's not quite as as least enjoyable as it used to be.
Yeah, you didn't have to jump on the public transit to get into New Jersey to go onto your FanDuel app to place your wagers, to just sit on the bus to come back to New York. You could just jump in, I assume, to DraftKings, FanDuel. What do they have for live apps right now in New York?
I just used FanDuel and DraftKings. They both worked out like pretty well. I prefer DraftKings just because they have like, you can parlay anything. You can parlay. I parlayed, I went on a pretty good run. I put in like 4,000. I got up to like 40 something thousand when I cashed out in 3 days. But I had these live soccer parlays are like the best. Mid first half, a lot of these MLS games were like 2-2, 2-1. I would take live over, 4.5, over 5.5 live, parlay a bunch of those minus 500s together. And I had one plus 190 parlay. I bet like 10,000 on it at 119,000. And that's just from seeing the flow of the game, and they let you parlay anything. There's really nowhere else, that will take like that action on that. So, when people say like, oh, books limit, I think books aren't really limiting honest bettors. They limit more of the people who try to, cheat them with the arbitrage betting and stuff like that. But I find DraftKings pretty much takes whatever. So I appreciate that. And those live parlays, they were pretty fun. So I can't complain.
We have Julian Edlow on every Tuesday from 10:20 to 10:50. Works for DraftKings, and he's always talking about, if you don't see something in their sports book, just reach out to him. He's kind of the guy that says, hey, let's add this, let's add that. And he was talking about those divisional parlays in the NFL. They're not afraid to put anything out there. So I 100% agree with you. Mass passed last week.
Yeah.
Charlie just signed the bill. It might take a couple months, but headquarters is less than an hour away from me, and I'm super stoked, super excited. 7 mobile apps, and obviously DraftKings will be the headliner.
Yeah, the division parlays, like you said, I love those. I would really like it if DraftKings let you parlay like season win totals, because I've done my NFL futures, I think we're 13-2 in max plays in like the last 6 years. So I do very well in like the season win totals, stuff like that. So yeah, I wish they let you parlay season win totals, but I'll take, division winners at least. It's, most sites don't let you parlay those. So yeah, I did a division. I did a division, NFL division winner parlay, the Colts, the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, and the last one I did was
Rams.
No, I didn't do the Rams. Packers. Let me look. I don't know what's blanking on me right now, but I actually posted them on my Twitter for people to play. The Bills. Which the Bills. I in my opinion, like the Bills, the Packers, and the Colts. I think those are pretty much, not locks, I want to say, but I think for sure the Bills, the Packers, and the Buccaneers are like pretty much locks. a lot of people are hot. They're high on the. A lot of people were commenting like the Packers aren't going to win the division this year, like the Vikings are. These are just Vikings fans saying this stuff. Like I don't think anybody realistically expects Kirk Cousins to upseat like Aaron Rodgers this year and win a division. So the Bills, I think, will be a runaway. Obviously, I like the Bills to win the Super Bowl. The Colts, I think, will be a lot better with Matt Ryan. Just looking at Matt Ryan's statistics last year, he was still like a top 7 quarterback in the NFL, replacing Carson Wentz, who was one of the worst. So I think the Colts will be up there. And I think the Titans, the Titans had their shot last year to make the Super Bowl, and they just couldn't get it done. I think the Titans will see a little bit of regression. They lost, AJ Brown and stuff. So it's hard to make that up. Of course, they still have Derrick Henry, but they're going to play those grinding games this year. And I think the Colts would have won the division last year if Wentz didn't give away so many games. So I really like the Colts and the Buccaneers. As long nice. Hey, welcome to
that. Hey, listen, that is an instant classic. Right?
Yeah.
Tears for Fears. Everyone wants to rule the world.
What's that? Your ringtone?
That's my ringtone. Yes, it is.
I couldn't deal with that like every time my phone rang, but
Okay, so preseason starts tonight. 2 games, obviously. Week 1. You talked about futures in the NFL. What is your actual thought process with preseason games? Meaning, sometimes people in our lanes seem to think that there's great edges. Quote unquote, you can find out who's playing, who's not playing. First half, are they playing the 3 quarters? Week 3 used to always be the dress rehearsal. How do you go about the preseason for you and your clients?
Well, I don't do if I do preseason plays, I give them away for free. But I think the most important thing for me when I bet preseason is I look at quarterback depth, which QBs do they have on the roster? Because some teams they have very little quarterback depth, and when you get down into the 4th quarter, the coach just might be running the ball the entire time. So I'm not a huge. I mean, I do bet preseason and stuff, but like you said, the Ravens are 18-1-1 in their last 20 games against us. I'm not trying to bet with everybody. Sooner or later that's going to turn around, and they're going to lose 10 straight. So I'm not trying to really, bet that one and stuff. But I wouldn't bet against Bill Belichick, in the other game. That's one thing I do know. But I saw Mac Jones and stuff. They don't plan on playing tonight. I just like to bet. Really, in the preseason, you can really just bet coaches. Some coaches really want to win these games, like Harbaugh, like you said. Bill Belichick hates losing and stuff. I think maybe he kind of accepted it a little more the last couple years. But you're really betting coaches, and there's a lot of those coaches that really, those guys that are the lunch pail guys, the blue collar worker coaches, the hard-out coaches, like Dan Campbell probably. He's probably going to want his team to win some preseason games, to get them pumped up going into the season. And then you have coaches who don't care. Like the Buccaneers probably could care less, if they win preseason games, or the I could see the Dolphins, McDaniel not really caring. The Packers, these coaches know what their goal is, and then some coaches just like to play well in the preseason to feel good going into the year. So the preseason for me is more betting on coaches and stuff. But obviously, having a good stable of quarterbacks helps. So I like to stay away from teams that don't really have any QB depth. Like we saw the Jaguars last week. They just got pretty much trounced. I know Trevor Lawrence and stuff. They didn't play, but I mean, their QB depth was pretty poor. So a lot of these teams, you get a lot of. Obviously, you get a pretty good view of what their depth is going into the season. So I like to choose the preseason as a gauge to see where how much depth these teams have. what's the backup quarterback playing like? Because sometimes your futures will come down to the backup QB. I mean, I've lost 2 max plays in my futures in like 7 years, and the 1 max play I lost was, I think, the Packers over 10 wins a couple years ago, 10.5 wins, and it's when Aaron Rodgers got his broke his collarbone, and I had Deshaun Kaiser come in to be the quarterback. One of the worst. So you're going from one of the worst quarterbacks to one of the best quarterbacks to one of the worst. So really, you look for teams, even when you play futures, like, do they have good depth? Like, even the quarterback, is the backup quarterback serviceable? Like with the Chiefs, right? I know if, say, Patrick Mahomes got injured, that like Chad Henne is a serviceable backup. Like Chad Henne could probably start for like 5 NFL teams right now. So I like to find teams that have good backup quarterbacks and then go from there. But the preseason is just really about coaches and reading a lot of quotes before the game, like who's going to play how many quarters, stuff like that. But yeah, you can find quite an edge in it if the information you're getting is truthful.
You were spot on there. Shout out to Marty Lowe. He says, nice hat. I was talking to you before we started about the Alabama Roll Tide. Marty, you lost a wide receiver for about 6 weeks, but as we know, in Bama country, we don't rebuild, we just reload. And as B2B was talking about before we tipped off here, when Nick Saban says last year was the rebuilding year and you lost in the championship game, myself and Rob here are holding futures for them to win this thing. So God bless you guys. We know you'll be rolling. So we can't wait there. So he says, yeah, he should be back in early October. So I'm going to transition to the FedEx Cup. How did you go about this week? In other words, put the top of the heap, positioning themselves, the Schefflers of the world, the Xanders of the world, the Rorys, we expect them to be there the final weekend and playing for this FedEx Cup. Cam Smith sticking and staying instead of going to the Live Tour for the $26 million. A, how'd you approach this weekend? And B, how do you look forward to the next? Is there a couple guys that you have in mind potentially to win this FedEx Cup, or is it just a sit, wait, and see?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whoever, I mean, the FedEx Cup, I mean, you got Scotty Scheffler in first place, just from all of his wins and stuff, and you got Cameron Smith right behind him, and Sam Burns and stuff. So, I just take it really week to week. I know Scotty Scheffler is looking pretty bad right now. I didn't really play Scotty Scheffler much. I just made one play on him for a top 20 finish, but I was like heavy on a guy like Billy Horschel, who, 6 out of his last 8 appearances here, he's finished in the top 17, and 5 of those 8 were top 10s. So he has a really good course history here, and Billy's, he's been playing some great golf, multiple wins this year. So I like where his game is headed. Justin Thomas also here, another guy with good course history, and JT has been through these guys, like Billy Horschel, JT, Tony Finau and stuff. They've been through the grinder. They've played full seasons, multiple times. Where, as you look at a guy like Scotty Scheffler, he's still very young. He's still like not used to playing so much golf. I think we're seeing him kind of get a little tired, as the year's going on. But Scotty, started off pretty poorly today, and like Cam, I saw he walked in front of Cam Smith's short birdie putt right in his line, which was pretty interesting. But I just approached it like any other tournament. I just looked to see who has good course history, what a guy's current form is. I always feel like current form is the most important thing. You never want to back a cold golfer coming into a place. So I got like, Tony Finau top 20. I mean, he's the hottest golfer on the planet right now. And, I played some 3-ball, but I took some chances with all dogs, really, like Kitayama plus 210 versus Munoz and Herbert. I played Cameron Young plus 215 versus Thomas and Finau. T-Gala plus 200 versus Prayer and Mitchell, because these are guys that, when they play well, they come out hot in the first round. So I took some shots with the 3 ball. But besides that, yeah, I just approached it just like I would any other tournament. And I think, a guy like Cam Smith, I think if he's going to go to live, I think the best possible exit he could probably think of is to win the FedEx Cup. So, um, just approaching it really just like any other tournament.
I read the other day that, from someone, and again, as you stated, is it fact or is it fiction, that, Cam and Leishman have signed and they're heading over there. And when I was looking, Leishman was on the lid at -5, and I'm like, oh, geez, here we go again. I was wondering, as this FedEx Cup progresses with the Cam Smith and the new, he was kind of pinned into a corner, and he's, basically, doesn't want to say anything, where everyone kind of sort of knows 100 million or whatever it's going to be. Yeah. Does that added pressure in that final tournament, the final weekend, do you think that adds to this? Or like you said, nothing better than to hoist the FedEx Cup, collect the 26 mil, and then drop the mic and set them out?
Yeah, I don't think there's any pressure at all. I mean, he basically knows he has $100 million payday after the next 3 weeks, and he can basically play pressure free. And that's when we see Cam Smith play like his best golf, is when he's playing pressure free, and when he wins tournaments, he gets out to these large leads. Like when he won the British Open, there was no pressure on him in the final round, right? He was 5 strokes down coming into the final round. All the pressure was on Rory. And then he came back to win it. So I don't think there's any pressure on Cam Smith right now at all. And we see now Cam Young is supposed to be joining Liv too. So I think it would be like a total heel thing if Cameron Smith won the FedEx Cup, and then basically like in the press conference at the PGA press conference said, I'll be going to Live Golf, like at their own press conference. And it's interesting, it's an interesting time to be a golf fan right now. We got 2 leagues that, are competing against each other. And, one thing's for sure, something's going to have to change. I think the PGA should just say, like, if guys want to play both, they can. Because what if, I keep saying, like, what if, Liv keeps having to fight for guys to play in the PGA with all these lawsuits. And then down the road, like, the PGA loses so many guys. Like, you can only lose so many Cam Smith, so many Cam Young, so many Bryson DeChambeaus, right? Before you start eroding your name power, right? Like Tom Kim, like I said, he's a good golfer, very young kid. He could be a superstar one day. But now nobody really cares who he is. Bettors care, like me and you, like we all know who he is, but most people don't. So there's not really much, attraction there for someone to watch on weekends and stuff. And Tiger Woods, his career is almost finished also. So what if Liv gets all the name power, and then Liv just says, hey, you know what? We're not going to let our golfers play in your PGA tournaments. Like, they could do the same thing back. So it just becomes a back and forth. I think it would be cool if they had like kind of like a Ryder Cup style, like Liv versus PGA, and whoever won could pick whatever PGA, whoever won could pick whatever tournaments they wanted to play on the competitors tour that year, with nothing barred. I think that would be pretty cool. If they put that on pay-per-view, that would sell crazy. But yeah, I just approached this week just like any other for golf. It's just, because it's a full field. It's really almost a full field. And then, obviously we'll be cutting down the next few weeks. But as far as this week, pretty much just the same as any other.
Dodgers red hot, 10 in a row. They're not just winning, covering run lines. Yankees in a tailspin, especially since the All-Star break. The Orioles, the talk of the town. They cut bait with their closer. They cut bait with Mancini. They just keep on winning. I talked about the Mets earlier with you. It's Tatis is in single A, double A. He'll probably be back next week or next weekend. Thoughts moving forward in the last month and a half here of baseball? Any surprises? Anything that you're looking for other than obviously a Dodgers? A little quiet right now on the Subway Series. I have Astros. You have Dodgers. What's your thoughts moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to step in front of the Dodgers train right now. I mean, they're just pulverizing everybody. They've been getting some great pitching, some great hitting, um, and they have a lot of depth at the pitching position. So I like the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan, I guess you could say. So I like the Yankees, but obviously they've been playing poorly right now. But they're still in first place by like over 10 games. Um, I always say you don't want to be playing your best baseball like in July, August. You could pulverize teams all year, but when the playoffs comes, it's something different. So right now, like what team is doing stuff, as long as you're winning your division, you're in first place, 20 games plus over 500. I don't really think it's time to panic. We know the playoffs. Anything can happen if a team gets hot, right? Really anybody can win the World Series if they get hot. If they get hot pitching, stuff like that. We can see any team pretty much win, like the Nationals a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you make the playoffs and get in, I mean, pretty much any team has a chance. The Mets have been playing great. I think the Mets are like, there's a lot of teams, like you said, Tatis and stuff, the Padres. These teams had to prove to me that they can win in the postseason first before I like really start backing them hardcore. I think the Padres, they already have like 3 Tatises on their team, really. So how many can you possibly add? Um, we saw them add. They were when Soto first came there the day after, would they win like 10-0 against the Pirates or whatever, or the Rockies? You're not going to play the Rockies every single game, and then they lost. They got like destroyed by the Dodgers after that. So people are quick to just crown people when they make moves and stuff. But baseball is like a lot further than that. But I will say that I have this feeling like with the Yankees, like if the Yankees get to the World Series, like Joey Gallo is going to hit like a walk-off home run to win it against them. I just have this, you just know it's going to happen. So, right now, like I said, obviously I wouldn't step in front of the Dodgers, but when you have the pitching that the Mets have, I think you can go places also. But the Mets offense sometimes is just not there. With DeGrom, we've seen it happen for years and years with DeGrom. DeGrom will, pitch a 4-hitter and give up 1 run and he'll lose because they got no runs from their offense. So if the Mets can have more consistent offense, stuff like that, I think they can be trouble too.
Before we wrap it up here, you're wearing the Alabama hat. Again, Nick said last year was a rebuilding year. We know deep down he wasn't too happy that Georgia hoists the trophy. So, all hands on deck there. A lot of talk. This Ohio State offense is just going to be putting up touchdowns after touchdowns. And supposedly their defense is a lot better, but we always see, especially in that Final Four, if you get an Ohio State versus a Georgia or an Alabama, it's the defense, it's the speed that is the telling tale. We haven't got to week 0. I know Bama's the team to beat. Is there anyone else that you're eyeing out there that potentially, could put a little hiccup in Nick Saban's championship run this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Alabama will score points, but their defense this year could be like one of the best ever. I mean, Will Anderson, total beast. I think he could obviously easily win the Heisman Trophy this year. So I think that's what separates Alabama from like Ohio State. Ohio State can score a lot of points for sure, but they can't really stop anybody. As we saw, they couldn't stop Utah in the bowl game, and their defense was so bad last year. You just don't really get like you can't really have 100% turnaround in one season. So I think they'll still struggle defensively, but they'll score enough points, to win the Big Ten. And I think the Big Ten is like having kind of a down year this year, so Ohio State should pretty much coast through that. To give Alabama trouble, I mean, pretty much you just got to go to the playoffs. Who would they face in the playoffs? And Clemson, I don't really see Clemson making the playoffs this year because of their quarterback situation. I don't think DJ can improve that much in 1 year. Go from being pretty terrible last year, really, to being a great quarterback this year. And, they lost the Venables. They lost a lot. So, can Clemson pick up, where they left off? it's hard to see. It's really hard to see a lot of teams challenging Alabama. Maybe Georgia again. But I think obviously if we'll have the same situation where they both make the playoffs again. So Georgia's going to be good this year on offense, but they did lose a couple wide receivers and stuff. They had that great tight end, and they lost a lot on their defense. But we know Kirby Smart, he's got great recruits coming in there. So I'm sure Georgia will be very good this year again. Texas A&M, I think the big game to start the year is Miami at Texas A&M. That'll be a great game. If Texas A&M wins, they're going to be a good team this year. If Miami wins, you could watch out for them in the ACC because their schedule is pretty easy beyond that. If they beat Clemson and stuff. So, as far as surprising Alabama, I mean, I don't. It's just the same names as we're always going to see. I think we'll see Oklahoma up there this year because I think the Big 12 is not very good this year. Or just not good. Just I think the Big 12 is a lot like they have a lot more like mid-tier teams this year, So a lot of people are picking like Texas got a first place vote in the coaches poll, which is pretty crazy to me. But I think it's really hard to just surprise a team like Bama. I think they'll roll through their schedule, be in the SEC championship, and then if they go undefeated in the regular season, they're going to make the championship. I mean, they're going to make the playoff no matter what. So they really only have to go 12-0 to make the playoffs. What they do in the SEC championship doesn't really matter if they lose. So it's going to be an interesting year. I just can't see anybody really surprising Alabama. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia beat them, because they beat them last year and stuff, but Georgia did lose a lot, so I would be kind of surprised. But if you look around at the other conferences, like a lot of people are high on USC and stuff. I just can't see USC making such a big turnaround in 1 year. All these problems that's not going to fix in 1 year, right? And Lincoln Riley wasn't winning national titles, national titles in Oklahoma. So why is USC going to be any different? I think people are just quick to really jump on teams making these huge turnarounds. I think sometimes it takes a lot longer than people think. So I don't really see USC being right there this year either. I think Utah will win the Pac-12 or the Pac-8, whatever it is now. But yeah, pretty much it'll be tough to. I don't think Michigan can follow up on what they did last year. Can NC State win the ACC? That's another one of those things. It's like Miami. They've got to prove it, right? We've talked about this before. NC State having a good team with a chance to do things, and then they kind of fall short, just like Miami. So I'm more of the prove it to me first, and once I see it, then I can start backing you. But until then, I'm pretty much, it's a roll tide for me, So, and I'm not an Alabama fan. I just have this hat. I like Alabama hat. They've made me more money than anybody the last decade. So, when you win me that much money, I support you. So,
shout out to Tim Luce at the Flagman store. If you guys are down Route 28 in Centerville, go say hi to my man Tim. He'll hook you up with some great apparel, some flags, whatever you guys need. Tell him Jeff said hello, and he'll hook you up there. Rob, we can't thank you enough. I had the scroller on the whole time. You can go to Twitter if you're not following him at Beating the Bookie. Tell everyone what they can, where to find you, website, emails, whatever, for packages, what you got going this weekend, and maybe for the football season and the rest of 2022.
Yeah, well, all my packages are on my site, beatingthebookie.com, just like you see it spelled right on screen. We pretty much have everything. All packages are on the site. All my packages are 4 weeks or for the season. I don't do 1 week packages or 1 day packages or anything like that. It's all 4 weeks for the season. We've got everything going on this weekend. Soccer. It's a great time now for soccer because it's week 2 of the NFL. Everything's going on in soccer. So it's a fun time for soccer. We've got the FedEx playoffs golf season is wrapping up, and it's a busy time as we get ready for football. So just looking forward to the football season because we all know that's where the most fun is had.
The most fun is had and money to be made. The one and only B2B himself. As we get closer to football and throughout the season, we hope to be doing some shows regularly with him. Hopefully, I can catch you on Sunday. I am literally a stone throw away from your Buffalo Wild Wings right on the corner of Planet Hollywood. I'll be staying right across the street from
Nice.
Top Golf. So I'll be coming in on that Sunday for you. We can't thank you enough as always. And everyone who was watching and listening, thank you so much. Myself and Scott Webb will be back later this afternoon with the closing bell. And then anyone wagering today, please do it responsibly. Always, always remember this. There is an 800 number available. If you have a problem, just ask for help. Why? Myself and BDB Care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Mr. B2B himself at Beating the Bookie, we wish everyone a blessed day. Cash some tickets, have some fun, and we will see you soon.